So, Will, my question for you for this week is the cogs from Toontown, the enemy guys. How many of those do you think it would take to run a successful company? Because there are four major HQs in the game based on the classification of the cogs. How many of them do you think it would take to run a successful company? And of the main positions in a company, which positions do you think would be filled by which types of cogs?
So 8 is my answer. That's the number I was thinking of before you even finished this question. Easy slam dunk for me, I think. You don't need any more than 8 people to run a successful company.
Okay, what kind of scale are you thinking though? Because when I think of like an 8-person company, that's the mom and pop shop accounting firm down the way that does people's taxes, not like a Fortune 500. Like Microsoft doesn't have 8 employees.
Right, but they have 8 important employees. 8 employees you
Oh,
know the name of.
honestly,
We're
I
not talking about
don't
John
think I
Smith.
know the name of 8 Google employees or 8
Even better,
Microsoft
even more
employees.
reason. You only need 8. That's why.
Okay, so you think it would be 8 like big honchos, and then a
That's right.
bunch of
The
I was about
henchmen
to
are
say
expendable and don't
henchmen.
need
There
to
we
be
go.
named.
Fair enough. I think that in researching this question this week, you'll find henchmen cogs that will fill those roles. And when you come to a final number, I'd be interested to see what cogs you put into those henchmen roles.
I'm going to predict I get no more than 16.
No more than 16. Okay. Interesting. And you've never played Toontown?
Never. Have no experience with the game. I know its name.
Gotcha. I think it was owned by Disney, and then it kind of went the Club Penguin route, where Disney bought it, or maybe Disney always had it. But then at some point, Disney was like, "Yep, time to go," and they closed all the servers down, and now there's just like bootleg, third party,
Oh yeah.
someone's running a server room out of their mom's basement
With the
games.
diehard fan base that will uh, never be disloyal.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I probably have a triple-digit amount of hours in Toontown. I haven't answered this question thought out. A little bit too much, probably. Alrighty, that was good.
All right. Well, what I got for you is two series near and dear to my heart, coming from a genre I frequent, MMOs.
2 series?
So in World of Warcraft, your typical party size is gonna be 5 people,
Yeah.
tank, healer, 3 damage dealers.
Hmm?
However, in Final Fantasy 14, your typical party size is gonna be 4 people, tank, healer, and 2 damage dealers. Why do you think that is? And what do you think the biggest importance in that discrepancy of party size came from?
Okay. To pad my stats a little bit, I do have a good bit of experience in WoW. I've played a lot, not a lot, not as even close to as much as you, but I probably I probably have a double digit amount of hours, like high double digit, probably 80 to 100 maybe, because little David played a lot of WoW, but
Respectable.
adult David does not because I I like fan service games sometimes, but WoW is not one that I like. Maybe I do like it, and I'm just lying. I don't know. Every time I play it, I love it, but then, you know how when you play Skyrim, like every playthrough just fades into obscurity, and you find yourself go
Yes,
into it less. That's how the WoW playthroughs are for me. The dopamine runs out, and
absolutely.
it just wears
I
off.
I totally get it.
Final Fantasy is a lot like a game that I probably have a 4-digit amount of hours in, Golden Sun, in which there is also a 4-person party mechanic. It doesn't always align with the 2 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer, but there always is a healer, there's always a dumb oaf, there's always a caster, and there's always someone who specializes in physical attack. And so, what I know about Final Fantasy is that Final Fantasy started on the NES or like some of the really old consoles
Sure.
where storage space was at a premium, like huge premium. And I know WoW's pretty old, but actual like MMO WoW that came out in the 2000s, right?
2004.
Yeah. Whereas Final Fantasy 1 probably came out in like the 80s.
So probably somewhere around that. Warcraft 1 was 1994.
But that did not require the
But that was not
resources.
an MMO.
Yeah, that's what I
Correct.
mean. And so if I had to guess, I think it would boil down to a storage premium thing. Because with an MMO, you can have a lot more storage space and a lot more uptime, a lot more server capacity. And so maybe that points to me that the WoW parties could be bigger, which obviously they are when you do raids, because can't like 40 people be in some of the raids?
Yes. Maximum raid size in World of Warcraft is 40, but the typical like dungeon or typical party group size is going to be 5.
I know when you click the eye at the bottom of the screen, you get sorted into a party of 5.
Yeah. Now the Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO and follows a lot of the same tropes of MMOs, having dungeon content, raid content,
I would
larger
think,
scale
though,
content.
you're booting up a Final Fantasy game, you're expecting it to be 4 people. Because all JRPGs, not all obviously, but a hefty majority of JRPGs have that 4-person party. And I haven't played Final Fantasy at all. I have 0 hours in any of those games. And I know you said 14's the MMO one?
Yes, there's a couple. 11 is as well.
Okay.
I think 11.
But 14's like really like the big MMO, right?
Yes, the constantly updated ongoing one.
Gotcha. And so I think it's a historical perspective in that Final Fantasy has always been 4 people because of some kind of storage premium. And you can't change the formula of a franchise because it might be a way to bring in new members, but you're going to alienate the old people. Like, when you boot up Diablo 2, you're expecting it to be a certain amount like Diablo 1. Otherwise, you're like, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't want to play this game. You
Absolutely.
expect Skyrim to be a certain amount like Oblivion. And given you want the game to change in the good ways. But I think if you brought up that kind of... If you change the party size drastically like that, you might lose a hefty majority of your JRPG fan base. Because if there's one thing I know about gaming, it's that people don't like different all of the time, or a majority of the time.
You know, I really like the answer and reasoning you gave, and I'm really excited to talk about kind of what you look into with this, because I think you're probably pretty close to a very technically correct answer on this one. But there's so many opinions and thoughts about the different party sizes and
Yeah.
why maybe that was happening or why it deviated from the norm. Because I believe other MMOs that have come out, such as like EverQuest, follow a similar like five party system.
Yeah. Or like, this is going to be kind of a deep cut, but Adventure Quest Worlds, where it's just like, the lobby has a limit of people, and that's the amount of people that can fight with you. Yeah, I think I gave a bit of a meta answer. It's kind of like Goku, when he turns Super Saiyan, the reason that his hair is blonde is because Toriyama didn't want his like assistant drawer to keep having to color in Goku's hair on every single page of the manga. So that is the reason why Super Saiyans are blonde.
And, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And I think my answer is pretty meta. Like, that might be the technical reason why.
Absolutely.
But I would be interested in, if when I start looking into it, if there's an in-universe reason why, like, a 5th person can't be a part of it.
And I mean, you might even find yourself diving into raid sizes. Something that the games do differently is splitting up compositions. So, like when you get into raid content in Final Fantasy XIV, it's 8 players, pretty fixed. And that's going to be, I believe, that's still 2-4, 2 tanks, 2 healers, 4 DPS.
Yeah.
However, in World of Warcraft, you have a like modular scaling raid size anywhere from 10 to 30, except on Mythic difficulty. But I'm not the type to talk about that because I'm not good enough at the game. But this still stays, 2 tanks, a proportional number of healers, anywhere between 2 to 6 to 8,
Yeah.
and then then you're getting 20 DPS.
And I mean, yeah, the DPS is always like there's going to be more of them.
Yeah.
They're like the trumpet and the flute section of the raiding party. um is the combat in Final Fantasy 14 is that turn-based combat or is it real time?
Real time.
Okay.
Much like any MMO you've played, maybe besides RuneScape or Diablo, where you're clicking to move.
Gotcha.
You're sliding left and right.
Interesting. So it's like normal WASD QE for the strafe.
If you've some of the more recent Final Fantasy games, I think have dived into this as well with real-time combat.
Okay. Final Fantasy 7 just got a remake, right?
It did.
And they like fully went real time with. I don't know if Final Fantasy 7 originally was turn-based combat.
I believe so.
But I know that in Final Fantasy 7 they made it pretty real time. I think there's still like a turn or a cooldown system.
Yeah, you still have like a limit gauges because that's pretty iconic to the series.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, I'll admit this. Final Fantasy is pretty, as an entire series, I have not played too much of it. One of my only other ones besides 14 is Final Fantasy 2, which a lot of people think is just the worst Final Fantasy game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but
I don't know
apparently
what it is.
a not great one.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about games like the second game in a series with Nintendo that's just being trash. Because like even Mario 2, like Mario 2 is garbage. Like that is easily the most hated 2. I think A Link to the Past, a lot of people like A Link to the Past for Zelda 2.
Yep.
But I guess if Final Fantasy 2, I don't know about Kingdom Hearts 2, but like I think about a lot of the iconic Nintendo franchises and people are like, man, I hate the second game.
Paper Mario 2 at release was not near as loved as Paper Mario.
Really?
Yeah. People were happy to have Paper Mario back, but
yeah, I've never really liked the RPG Marios, to be honest. Although I think I might be getting Brothership for Christmas. It was definitely on my list, and I don't know if anyone bought it for me. And so I'm excited to give that one a try, but we'll see.
if you had to pick a JRPG
Golden Sun.
that you haven't played yet,
Octopath, probably.
I have the same answer.
I
still
own
haven't
it.
played it.
I own it. I bought it a couple of months ago because it was on like really big sale, like at least half off. Have not opened it.
I'm gonna get you one of these days and ask an Octopath question and make you play it.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Part of me doesn't want you to do that though, because I don't want to have to read about it in the next week and spoil the entire game for myself before I play it.
I better play it then.
That's true. I'll just have to play it in that week. That's probably like a 100-hour game.
It's probably pretty long. Have you ever played any of the Persona games?
I have not, and
Okay.
you can ask me questions about those because I probably wouldn't be interested in it.
They're definitely. I really enjoyed them. Metaphor Refantasia is a new game by the same company. Persona, but if it was a fantasy medieval theme.
Yeah, I've had a friend playing that on Discord. They weren't playing it on Discord, but one of my friends on Discord, I saw in their like status symbol that they were playing it, and I asked them about it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a lot like Persona but medieval."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, so what is Persona like?" And then they explained to me the whole mechanic. The magic system in that game actually sounds pretty interesting.
Yep, it's pretty neat. The way that statuses interact in Persona is really cool. I haven't messed with it in Metaphor because I haven't needed to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the gameplay is very similar. Metaphor is less punishing, in a sense, for the social side of it, whereas Persona felt very much that like to get a full 100% playthrough and get everything the way you want it, you're gonna have to look up guides most likely.
Ooh. So kind of like a Bloodborne versus Dark Souls type deal.
Yeah, maybe like difficulty wise, yeah.
Yeah, Bloodborne's a lot more
those
forgiving.
games aren't. You're not a high school student.
That's true.
They're not slice of life.
I do like my slice of life Stardew Valley games though.